WWE has released Drew Gulak, Gable Steveson, and more NXT wrestlers. More names have been declared for King of the Ring, and there was a major tease for Bo Dallas on SmackDown. Stay tuned for the wrestling news. Last night, it was reported by Fightful Select and PW Insider that there was some NXT cuts set to happen. And we were kicking things off with the first name that was sort of revealed as Drew Gulak, who's one of the top names of this release bracket. That was reported by PW Insider's Mike Johnson and was backed up by Fightful's Corey Brennan. Gulak has recently seen some controversy. Obviously, there's the recent allegations of misconduct from Ronda Rousey. And WWE, granted, they did investigate those allegations. They said their investigation was found to be inconclusive, but he was recently pulled from TV.
Yeah, and they wrote him off as well.
They wrote him off.
Never do.
Yeah, they actually had the family get rid of him.
Yeah, they cleaned up the situation.
Yeah. And he was, according to recent reports, he was expected to be fired from the company, and people were questioning why he was still with the company, despite being taken off TV and maybe used behind the scenes instead.
He's somebody that I'm quite surprised they didn't get more in and around him. Like I think that there was some 205 live stuff, the early stuff, especially when he was coming in. He was doing all of the like the live presentation aspect.
Yeah, the PowerPoints
was really entertaining. But I think that there was just a bit of a shift at a certain point, and then he was just sort of moved out, and then it felt like he returned for the whole Daniel Bryan management thing, and then just moved out again.
He was someone that seemed to phase in and out,
especially when everybody's from around his time were getting like called up and everything.
That's the thing. And he's been in NXT for the past wee while. He was in the No Quarter Catch crew, obviously being written off TV recently, and now being released from the company. Another name that many people, I don't want to say expected to be gone a long time ago, but it's exactly that. Gable Steveson has been released from his WWE contract, according to the Wrestling Observer. This report coming just very recently, the most recent of these release reports. Steveson obviously was signed to WWE on a next in line deal back in 2020 and was on a incredibly high-paying deal.
It was the biggest one,
the biggest one of its type. And the original plan was for him to compete in the NCAA.
Yes.
While also appearing on Raw and making pay-per-view appearances.
Yeah.
He was drafted to Raw in 2021, and it was like, okay, here we go. This is the start.
He was an Olympic level wrestler as well, for people who aren't familiar with Gable Steveson.
He's considered arguably one of the greatest of all time of the collegiate level, and is an Olympic gold medalist.
Very much a Kurt Angle, I guess they were wanting to kind of mold him into. That's sort of like mat-based wrestler, but with the charisma, right?
They were hoping that he would take off. There was a little tease with Chad Gable at WrestleMania 38 in 2022. It looked like that was going to be it, and then they just pulled him from TV again. His most recent sort of match, in fact his only match on TV, was against Baron Corbin at NXT Great American Bash, which ended in a no count out.
Was mixed, to say the least. It was mixed.
It was very, very mixed. Lots of boos for Gable, but he wasn't the only one alongside Gulak that was released. As we said, there was 10 other names from NXT released. Sam, do you want to run through the names for me?
Yeah,
we'll go through them.
We've got Valentina Feroz, we've got Ezekiel Balogun, Julian Baldy, Emma Diaz, Keyshawn LaFleur, Daryl Mason, Vlad Pavlenko, Kia Saint, and Trey Bearhill. Now,
Bearhill was argued, I think, is one of the more surprising names on that list. You might not be too familiar with some of those names.
There's a lot of them haven't. Yeah, who are kind of in and around developmental, a bit of a lower level, or were maybe out on the Florida shows, or maybe were just starting to appear or on TV or in associated WWE media.
For sure. So Bearhill, though, was appearing on TV, or had been appearing on TV most recently, I think back in March, and prior to that he'd been involved in the NXT Breakout tournament.
And had a pretty alright showing in it as well.
He gave a great showing. Reports at the time were saying, he was impressing officials. Recent reports have backed that up, including one from Fightful saying he'd impressed talent and producers with his performances in the Breakout tournament and on TV. However, he has been released in these recent cuts. One name I think is another surprising one is Julian Baldy. He was recently part of that Next Gen program on the WWE produced. There was a few visa issues. It took him 3 months to get to the States because he's Italian. And now he's been cut only 7 months into his contract, which is not nice.
I mean, it's heartbreaking, right?
It's
to go
pretty
through all
horrible.
that to get there to get into that position and then for it all to
all fall apart. But PW Insider reporting that the reason for these releases is that WWE simply had no creative plans for the names listed in the near future, and they'd not been booked on TV recently, and so WWE decided to cut the talent, which it really sucks. You never want to see people losing their jobs, and with a lot of these people in the current state of developmental in NXT being bringing folk from other sports and colleges in, you wonder how many will actually stick with pro wrestling.
Well, this is it, and I guess it's kind of multifold, right, as well, because sorry, I don't know what's going on with me this morning. It's kind of multifold because obviously if there's no creative, it doesn't make sense to have talent hanging around, but at the same time the company like TKO have got to be looking at it like we're paying people that aren't being featured or used. And at the same time, I think, again, to go back to, you know, the WWE of old that would hoard talent like a dragon hoards gold, to be able to kind of open that door a bit and just be like, hey, like, you know, there's nothing here right now, but it doesn't mean maybe that the door's permanently closed. I think moving back toward a model like that, it's more beneficial for the talent overall, even though it's horrible that talent are losing their jobs, of course. But I think that, you know, as well, we say this every time, but there's never been probably a better like position to be in right now in terms of
the wrestling industry. There's a lot of options if they want to stay
in
in professional wrestling, but best of luck to all of the names released. It really sucks to see them depart the company, but looking forward to tonight, it is of course WWE Backlash. In France. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Triple H made the decision not to go with a challenger to Cody Rhodes who was hot and was over big, and instead opted for AJ Styles, which I think is kind of diminishing AJ a little bit. I think he's hot and over big. Have you seen the muscles on him?
Yeah, he's absolutely stacked.
I'm sure some people will call him hot, but he's obviously facing. He's not my type. His beard's too full.
What do we think of this? Comments.
Anyway,
disgusting. Absolutely, it's 2024, Fraser.
They decided to go with this match with AJ Styles because they wanted to have the best match possible, rather than having something that was over big, as the report says.
AJ is a match machine, so just let him go, and don't do nut shots. And we're laughing.
And it's going to be a great match. But they were also in France last night for SmackDown. Corey Graves announcing on SmackDown that SmackDown achieved a big monumental feat, wasn't it, Sam?
J'aime beaucoup le catch.
Le catch?
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the... you speak French?
Les fabulous rougios.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, it was the highest grossing SmackDown of all time. They've made the most money.
It's not surprising. You've seen the price for the tickets at the Hydro, mate.
That's going to be fun.
You want to see SmackDown now outside of the States, it's going to cost you a car. Quite literally. But yeah, last night's SmackDown was the highest grossing SmackDown in history. Triple H confirming it on Twitter by saying that it broke the record set by the night before WrestleMania in Philadelphia just 4 weeks ago. Basically, it's going, the tickets are very expensive. There was 11,000 people in there. I think, it's 11,000 people. It's a very, it's a type of event that never really happens. It's very rare. Obviously, ticket prices are going to be higher. But at the same time, you've got merchandise sales. You've got a lot of things to take into account over the course of that becoming the most, financially viable SmackDown. So it's not just all ticket sales. But, I think just looking at it naturally, the cost of everything's going up. We're going to start making more money. But at the same time, I like to think maybe they've just not realized you can monetize a TV show all this time.
That's it.
Oh my god! We made 50 quid last week.
We can put adverts.
We made 55 this week.
It's a lot of money they're getting. I mean, it's WWE's product is booming. Yeah, right. They're hot everywhere
Market
they
leader,
go.
everywhere they go, and especially because they've been in exile in the States for so long, just staying like North Korea, like a hermit kingdom.
You can tell by the crowd.
Yeah, and then the second you get out there and you see the response, it's like
the crowd. The crowd was electric last night.
Like look at Backlash, man. Like last year.
It was hot.
Oh, man.
Well, on SmackDown last night, the crowd was hot for basically every single thing that happened apart from Karrion Kross. And they were very hot for what was announced for the King of the Ring. First off, Carmelo Hayes was announced for the King of the Ring. He declared when he spoke to Nick Aldis backstage and was like, I want to keep the momentum going after I faced Cody Rhodes last week, and the best way to do that is in the King of the Ring tournament. We then saw a little tease of a little tension between him and Bobby Lashley, who offered him some advice, and maybe we'll see them meet up in the tournament at some point. Alongside that, LA Knight declared for the tournament to a thunderous crowd. Oh my God.
He ain't winning it.
LA Knight appeared in the arena like he was God himself. Just Jesus.
What, he came down. There was just a light on the stage. It was the return of God.
It was the return of God.
Comes down.
The crowd was like, oh, it was insane. But anyway, he declared after he beat Angel from the Legado del Fantasma, and then Santos Escobar was having none of it, so declared himself for the King of the Ring tournament. They will join Gunther and Drew McIntyre in a couple of weeks. Who do you think's going to win?
I don't want LA Knight so badly to win.
You want LA Knight to win?
I want LA Knight so badly to win. But if they want to, they go all cheesy with swords and crowns, and he's not going to win a big belt. You know what to give him?
What?
Give it to Drew.
Give it to Drew.
Yeah, doesn't deserve a title in Scotland. You're not just winning because it's your hometown. You're going to win King of the Ring instead.
King of the Ring instead in Saudi Arabia.
And sword, crown, cape. We'll just use Corbin's.
Goose Corbin's.
They're just in the box at the back.
Drew's already got the sword.
Yeah. No, we're getting them two.
Get him two swords,
one
two claymores.
Smaller, one's bigger.
I think Gunther's winning it.
Yeah,
personally, it's King of the Ring.
Sense, right?
It's King of the Ring.
He's come off the longest reigning IC run of all time. You got to keep him, looking like an absolute credible threat. If he goes on to become King of the Ring and nobody can beat him, then he's undeniably a number one contender.
And he sets up for SummerSlam. Who do you think is going to win King of the Ring? Let us know in the comments below. We're going to round things off, though, with a huge Bo Dallas tease that appeared on SmackDown. So during SmackDown, I was watching on Twitch, just reacting along, watching live, because it was on at a nice, sensible time of 6 p.m. Halfway through the show, people are going, QR code, QR code. And of course, there was another QR code teasing what seems to be this new group faction, this tribute to Bray Wyatt type situation. The video was a woman sitting in a cabin with candles all around, with a message flashing on screen that said, "He opened his arms, our pain became his, we were reborn. We believed because we believed." However, the subtitles kept flashing and the "we believed" said "we believed." As you can see right there, it says "believe." Doesn't it, Sam?
I don't know what this is in reference to at all. It says
Bo-leave. It's Bo Dallas. Of course, we've seen loads of rumors that Bo Dallas is coming back.
As a catchphrase. Yeah, it's no surprise. Look, we've heard all the rumors. There was the Wyatt documentary. It's just watching the QR codes pop back up, watching it all build and build and build. I just can't wait to see where we're going with it. And that it's something that Bray's surely going to be looking down on wherever he is and enjoying.
For sure. I'm very excited to see what they do. The woman in the house is very reminiscent of Sister Abigail, so maybe we'll see Alexa Bliss get involved with it at some point.
Maybe somebody else, though.
Yeah, we did see Eric Rowan apparently come back to the company. There's a lot of things happening. I'm very excited for maybe it happens on Backlash tonight. Who knows? But we will have more news later on today. Stay tuned to the channel. We've got reactions to Backlash happening at 5 p.m. tonight. It is on at a lovely time for us. I can't wait. Adam and Andrew will have that for you. We'll have what happened straight after the show. We'll have WTF moments as well. We'll have all the Backlash coverage. We'll have more news later on today, and we will see you later on.